Okay, so I've gone through and I've installed some new plugins here. I've got AMR Shortcode AnyWidget, Columns, Event Calendar WD, and List Category Posts. There are other ones on the list, but these are the important ones for right now that I use a lot of. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to create some widgets that will allow us to put content pretty much anywhere we want on the page. And so you'll notice that when I install the calendar, I've got some new plugins here on the side. But so we're going to go to Appearance, and we're going to go to Widgets, and you notice that we've got a new Widgets for Shortcodes over here, and we're going to take List Category Posts and just drag it on there. And so what this will do is it will collect category posts in a category and display them however I want. So I'm going to call this one Articles, and I'm going to say the category is Article. I'm going to say 3, and then we're going to order by date, and we're going to say, let's show a thumbnail, and it's going to be medium. And then we're going to have an excerpt, so that excerpt will have some text. I'm going to say 300 characters. More link is going to say more, ... Tags as class, I'm going to say yes, and what this will do is it'll assign a class to the tag, so it'll allow me to have more control with my CSS. And then I'm going to hit save. So what I get here is this shortcode, and the way that WordPress works is you can use these shortcodes to paste into the content, and it takes the place of having to type code. So you capture it with the brackets, so let me see if I can zoom in here. So when you copy it with the brackets, and then you've got it. So you don't have to save again, so I'm going to just go back to my full size. So now I'm going to go to my home page, and I'm going to go to All Pages. I'm going to go to my home page. And remember, right now, we've got just a little bit of text here that says this is my home page. And I'm going to paste this shortcode in here, this widget, and then I'm going to update it. Now what you're going to see when I come back here to my home page is my articles. So you notice here that I've got my article 2, it's my latest one, the last one, and my article 1. It's a lot of content here. I don't really necessarily want this much content, so I'm actually going to go back and shorten that down to maybe 100 characters. Appearance, we go to Widgets, and we go to Shortcodes, and List Category Post Articles, and I'm going to shorten this one down to 100 and save it. My widget didn't change, my number didn't change, my shortcode didn't change. So now if I refresh this, okay, so now it's considerably shorter, and so this could even go shorter. We could go like 50 words, but might as well. We'll go 50, save, come back here, refresh. Thing to keep in mind is you want to make sure you hold the Alt key down or the Option key when you hit refresh. It's going to clear the cache on these, and it will make life a little easier for you. Okay, so I've got these 2 articles here, and look how they're laid out. They're laid out as unordered list. So what we can do now is we can modify this CSS to make it fit into 3 columns that go across. So we're going to do that right now. So we're going to come back here. I'm going to go to Appearance, Customize. And this is where you're going to put all your CSS. So additional CSS, I can come in here, and it shows my site on the right here, and then my CSS is on the left. I'm just going to come in here, and I'm going to right-click on this and say Inspect. What it does is it gives me my CSS, and it starts to let me look at how the page is laid out. Chrome by default gives you your code over here on the side, Inspect Code, and what I do is I use this little drop down and select the little dock to bottom button. So your browser may be different, but this is really the perfect layout for me. I've got my CSS up here, I've got my inspect element on this side, drag this down, and then I've got my page on this side here. So let's take this and try to kind of clean this up. So one of the first thing I'm going to do is I've got an ID here of list category post widget 2. And so it's an ID, so I'm going to use hashtag, and I'm going to paste that. And I'm going to do my curly braces here. And I'm just going to say back. So I just hit red, and it tells me that this chunk of code right here is my articles. So as you'll recall, you can drill in, you can get more specific here, but I can say UL. Now my UL is, and it excluded my articles. So now this is my unordered list inside my list category post widget 2. And then I can even get more specific by hitting space LI, and now I'm going after these, just these targets of these list items. So I can do things like display in line block. Yeah, I think that is actually block in line. I'm not sure. Okay. The other thing I like to do here is set the width to a smaller width. So now I've set it to 32%. It was, I think it is inline block. Inline dash block. There we go. So now we've got my two articles lined up here, and they're side by side, and I can say start doing things like, okay, well let's take away some padding, let's take away some margin. 0, okay, and actually that's, you know, let's make it 10 pixels. Let's make it 5 pixels. So now, remember, I only made 2 articles, so if I made a third article, in theory it should show up here. But if it doesn't, you know, and if it actually drops down here below, you're going to have to tweak it a little bit. The other thing that it looks like is that my alignment is not set to the top here. So one of the things I can do here is say, you know what, let's set a height on this. And let's set it to 300 pixels. Okay, that was way too short. So 600 maybe. Still not lining up. I'm not quite sure why. I'm going to have to play with the CSS a little bit on that. And what would happen if I just took this out? No. But you see, this is how you're manipulating the CSS with these pages. And so, like I said, they're offset a little bit, but we'll have to figure out why in a little bit. Inspect that there. So there's my UL. Try one more thing here. There we go. Float left makes them line up. So, okay, so we're getting there with a style. And so this, again, this is where you're going to put your CSS. This is a great way to lay out. So I'm going to hit save. Of course, I don't need the red, but I will need black, right? I got the PDF here. I go to the top here. You know, I've got to have green text. I've got to have some padding around it. You know, get this close, and that's going to be great. So the next thing we're going to do is the blog post, which is virtually the same trick. So if we go over here, let's refresh this. Let's magically watch this clean up. If I go to blog now, again, I don't have anything in here. So what I'm going to do is if I go back to my blog post, this is laid out as 3 columns here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the columns plugin, and I'm going to set that up. So if I go actually back to my plugin, there's a great way to look at this. Close this, and I go to plugins here. And if I go down to that columns plugin and I look at it, it says view details, and this actually gives me sample code right here. So I am all about copying code. This is easy. So I copy that. I come back now to my page, my blog page. I'm going to go to the text editor, so I'm going to switch that over to text. And I'm going to delete the word blog. I'm going to paste this in. And just for fun, I'm just going to update this. And just to see how it looks, actually, I take that back. I'm going to add a third column because I want 3 columns here. So it looks like HTML code, but it's kind of simplified for users to be able to do stuff with it. So now I come back here, go to my blog page, I refresh it, and now I've got 3 columns across. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create another one of these blog posts, blog widgets that we'll just drop in here. And actually, just for the sake of time, I'm going to go back to my appearance and widgets and shortcodes. And again, I can create another shortcode here and drop it in, but for now, I'm going to just copy the shortcode again. But like I said, you'll get the idea. You'll just do this again. But this time, next time when you create this, you won't be using thumbnails. You'll just be using the title and the date is all you're going to want in that list, right? So to get this, so you got the date and the title here. I mean, I don't care if these two are flipped around, so it says title and then the date, but you get the idea that that's what you want. So we go back. I'm going to copy that shortcut again. So I copy that. I go to my pages. I go to my blog. And in the middle column, I'm going to paste that widget. So I've got a shortcode there. And this one is going to now become about the author, and you're going to add a whole bunch of HTML in there, or a bunch of text in there that was going to copy about the author. And actually, I bet if I just do this, just going to copy that, and return, paste it in. Let's see, did I get text or what? It looks like we got a problem there. So we'll do that later. But we got the author. And then this one is what? Blogs we like, I think. And so again, that's going to be static code. So now if I update this, again, it's not going to be perfect because it's going to give us all of this list. Yeah, see, it didn't lay it out like we want. Tell you what, let's just for fun, let's go back. We take 2 more minutes, and we're going to create another widget. So list category posts, drop it in. This one is blog. Call it recent posts. I'm going to say, I don't have a blog category, so I'm just going to say uncategorized. Say we're going to say number of posts is 10. Put a descending order, no thumbnail. We are going to put a date, no excerpt. Again, we're going to have our tags class here, and then save it. And guess what? It's number 3. So all I have to do now is come back to my pages, my blog. This becomes widget 3. Update. Now you're going to see that my style doesn't apply to this because the way that I wrote the CSS, it didn't go in there. But you can see that this is going to build, and we can play around with some of the CSS here and make it look correct. Again, if I throw more posts in here, I can get more articles to show up. Say publish. So now your user is going to be creating these blog posts. So again, you want the user to have it nice and easy, and content will just keep popping up here. Okay, and again, go back to your style sheet, adjust these with styles. There's one last little trick I'm going to show you with styles, and then we're going to call this video done. I'm going to go to Customize. I'm going to go to CSS. And one of the things I can do is I can inspect element on that. And if I want stuff to disappear, like this. And this is the entry title. So this is a standard thing that goes across all pages. Well, if I don't want this block to be here, entry header, is that class? Yeah. So I say dot entry dash header. I can say display none and close it. And I just took out that. So you see, I just took out that chunk of code. So it's kind of a hack, but it also makes those things go away. And I can also do the same thing with this. So I could say, what's this look like? So I could say widget title. I don't want to show any widget titles. Now remember, this is going to carry over every page, but dot widget title display none. Okay, so now we're getting some cleanup here to get things to go away. So I'm going to inspect this image. So if I say this image is my header image, save and publish, go back to lolcats. Okay, so my header image goes all the way across. I dumped a bunch of the content up here that I didn't want. I've got my post. These all line up nicely. So I'm really making some progress here on my site. You're just going to sit here and just keep fiddling with the CSS, making stuff disappear, and making stuff appear also. I've gotten a video already on the events, so look that up, how to make events. Again, you've done the hard part by naming it correctly and use calendar WD. So I hope this helps.